All right, everybody. Welcome to First Friday, October 2nd, 2020. So I'm Grace. Good to see you. All right, I'm going to open this with this quote from Loving What Is. So Katie says, "Take your time. The work is about discovering what is true from the deepest part of yourself. It may not coincide with anything you've ever considered before. But when you experience your own answer, you'll know it. Just be gentle, sit with it, and let it take you deeper in. There are no right or wrong answers to these questions." Okay. So, first step, everybody, first step is identifying clearly what it is we're thinking and believing, putting words to what we're thinking and believing, unedited, letting them be there in all their glory. So, filling out a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which is how we begin First Fridays. So, just thinking of any situation where you feel opposed. And I love it doesn't really matter the level of opposition. It can be a 2 on a scale of 0 to 10 or a 10. You just know you have a clenching or a gripping. We know what stress feels like. I don't like it. This can't be good. This isn't going well. A moment in a conversation. So we're just opening the mind to not even judging what it is we're seeing, not judging ourselves for having judgments, letting the judgments be there. It's just letting them all be there, welcoming them all in, no matter how petty you think the situation is or how important you think the situation is. So, noticing that moment, it's like we're taking a pause, just pushing the pause button on that situation where it felt like our stress rose up. And looking at that situation, sometimes people like to mark that, write it down. My situation is, there's the moment. That person said something or did something. I opened an envelope. I saw something on the screen. I encountered something. There's life moving, and then this happened. Sometimes, once you open your mind to it, see that that's talking all day. Sometimes feels like it's just talking. But notice landing on one. And then the very first concept, the first prompt we'll answer is, what's the offense? What's the crime? If I put it in very simple terms, I am upset because, looking outward. So I know many of us want to do this work on ourselves. It's okay to do it on an item or a thing like your body or the reflection you see or money. But noticing that comes first before we usually begin to have thoughts about ourselves. These are our thoughts about ourselves. So looking at what we see, looking outward. Why are you upset? I'm upset because. Okay, number 2. How do you want what you're looking at to change? What do you want them to do? Just ponder it a moment. How do I want that person, that thing to change? I feel like a tantrum, a demand. And hello, everyone, just joining. We're filling out a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. We're letting ourselves just be here with those thoughts, putting words to those feelings, narrowing it down. How do you want it to change? What do you want it to do? Simple sentences. I like how Katie says we're listening. You're listening. This is your work. Number 3, what advice would you give what you're looking at? Advice, using should, shouldn't. In this situation, what advice would you give so that this person or condition or thing can do what you want, what you just identified, if that fits? What do you recommend? He should. She shouldn't. And number 4. So I love this one begins, in order for you to be happy. So noticing, in order for me to be happy in this situation, what would it take? What would I need from that person? What do I need? In order for me to be happy, I need, what do you need them to think or say or feel or do? I'm just watching if the mind is saying, I don't need them to do anything. I need just me to just see if you can come back and turn the attention to what you're looking at. Just noticing. If I didn't have a problem out there, I wouldn't have a problem in here. So we're looking at what's out there. And see if you know what you need, what you could receive, even if it seems impossible. In order for me to be happy, I need, in this situation, so wonderful to have that so simple. Number 5 is, what do you think of what you're looking at? That person, that condition. What do you think of them? Unedited, speaking from the most stressed emotional experience. That person is, it is, make a list. Just describing what we see. They are, it is. Welcoming the troubled feeling, letting it speak. And the very last prompt, what is it that you never want to experience again? If you got to say so, I don't ever want in that situation. I don't ever want Okay. So feeling free to use the chat box if you just want to be here and then respond, have a place to write your own answers if you're following along, if you're doing it out loud or not. It can be helpful, sweet to share, just doing our work. So who feels moved to do the work? So what you'll do is, we'll just begin. Shira, yes. Lovely to see you here today.
Okay, unmuted.
Wonderful. Okay, So, why don't you briefly tell us your situation and we'll go from there.
Okay, I get depressed. At the moment, I'm a little bit, not a lot, but it just keeps coming back. And I was this last 2 or 3 weeks, I got horribly depressed. And now keep trying everything. My mind, this is what my focus was is on my mind keeps getting me depressed. And no matter what I do, it seems to come back and make me miserable.
Ah, so the feeling of depression
Hmm.
against it. Okay.
Yes, I didn't know whether I should be doing the work on depression or on my mind. So I could use your advice on which one would be the better.
Well, it's you can see whatever appears, maybe they kind of blend into the same thing. Depression, result of the mind,
Hmm.
depressed feelings, depressed thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just noticing I'm against it, I'm against it, I'm against
Hmm. Yes.
it. Okay.
Yes, I'm against it. That's for sure.
What was your first sentence?
That I'm angry at my mind because it makes me depressed, miserable, overwhelmed, and afraid.
Okay. So everybody find where you've had that experience. Something's to blame, and in this case, the mind. And sometimes that can be tricky, because the mind is so, where's the boundaries of the mind? Can you circle something around the mind or find the location of it? But it's okay. There's that person that might make you depressed, the conditions of the world, whatever. You see them.
Yeah, I mean, I visualize it. I feel my head. I
Yeah.
feel, my mind in my head, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I like how we all say, where are your thoughts? And we point into here.
Right, right.
What's happening in here? Okay. So just see if you find that, if you can relate. All right. So your mind is making you depressed and miserable. Is it true?
Yes.
And you absolutely know that that's true. Your mind is making you depressed and miserable.
No, I can't know that it's absolutely true because I think maybe it's my body that's doing it. So I guess I would say I can't absolutely know that it's true.
So what happens when you think it? So looking at that, looking at something that is trying to find whose fault it is or what the fault is. There's a
Mhm.
fault here. There's something wrong. It's noticing that experience. It's my mind. It might be my body. What happens when you are looking for what's wrong? It's my
I
mind.
I get uh, my mind kind of. I feel like my thoughts are darting back and forth. I'm afraid. I try to do all kinds of techniques to change it, and then I get frustrated and angry because the techniques don't work. Uh, I spend a lot of time on these techniques. Um, I I just and I feel I have all these thoughts about how it's never going to end, and my whole life I'm going to be depressed or in or out of the depression, and it feels like there's a monster that takes over me.
Mm. Good to see all those images, where this is going, suffering my whole life, probably images from the past, being depressed.
Yes.
Treat that monster. It's a monster. My mind is a monster.
Yeah. My mind is a monster.
So what's it like? I mean, you're doing all these techniques, just noticing that. So helpful to notice, to get rid of it. You need to get rid of this mind.
Yeah. I mean, maybe all these techniques are what keeps it in place. I don't know.
Yeah. So just noticing what the energy's like between you and whatever the mind is, or the body, but this experience of depression,
Mm-hmm.
anger. I'm angry at it. I'm at war with it.
I'm at war with it. Yeah. And I'm afraid. I'm really afraid of it.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So who would you be without the thought? Here's this sense of, and something's happening, and you say, I'm depressed. This is miserable. The thing that feels like, is looking for the mind, the body. I'm depressed. I'm miserable. Who would you be, even if that feeling or sensation is there, but you don't have that thought?
um, so you're saying if the sensation of being depressed is here, but I don't have the thought
I have to get rid of it.
that I
And
have to get rid of it. Okay.
yeah, it's the wrong thing. It's miserable. It's horrible. Can't believe this friend came over who's so awful. Here they are again. What if
Mm-hmm.
you just didn't have that story?
Well, I would I guess I'd feel relaxed. It would be just would be something. It would, or maybe it would be nothing, and maybe I wouldn't know what it. I wouldn't like separate it out from who I am. It would just be uh, just who I am. I mean, I wouldn't feel that there's anything wrong. I'd feel like there's that life is right and okay,
Hmm.
and that I'm okay.
Hmm. Interesting. So, like, depression can be present, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Not
I
against
mean,
it. Yeah.
it's far fetched. I feel like it's, but it is
So
possible.
right. I love, yeah. Sometimes it feels like that, but I love it that imagination can do that. It's like, what would
Yeah.
I find it helpful to notice. It's like, what's the color of depression? The feeling and full on experience of depression. We're calling it misery, but in this situation, using who would I be without the thought
Hmm.
is misery. It's like, what's the color, the texture? Without the story, this absolutely has to get away.
It feels like a combination of black and red. I just feel
Hmm.
like a burning, kind of a combination of a burning, and a huge weight on top of me.
Hmm. And so just see if you didn't need to get rid of it, what that would feel like, what that's like. No thought. This is, I'm against it. It's wrong.
I think I'd be, um, I guess I'd be content, um, just kind of taking life in my stride and uh, going, maybe going about my day.
Hmm.
not spending all this time doing different different techniques. Have a lot more time to just relax.
Good to notice. So let's turn it around. So my mind makes me depressed, just to keep it very simple, miserable. It does not. How could that be true? Even the smallest example that's just already that's genuine, already there. It doesn't make me depressed and miserable.
Is that you're saying? A turnaround just doesn't make me depressed. Yeah, I think I was remembering when Byron Katie does her stuff, she was emphasizing to have it be a different, like rather than it's not making me depressed, it's making me happy, or it's making me calm or something. Is that
We can
better?
we can go all the way into the full blown. It's like a full blown turnaround, but it's also sometimes helpful to just to take it slow along the way. It's just not making me depressed and miserable. Kind of simple. It keep it very, very simple.
Okay.
Especially when there's something about the mind here, which I think is a little tricky. The mind does not make me depressed and miserable when here's depression happening. So stay in the moment too. There's this thing I'm calling depression. It loves to label it. There's this color, black and red color, and a heavy weight experienced in the body. So it's not the fault of my mind, this misery and depression. Could it be, it's not my mind. It's not my mind's fault. And just to see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be chemical, could be something that just comes over me that doesn't have anything to do with my mind.
And here's interesting. Can you find it's okay that it's here? Like, we don't even have to guess at what the origin might be or what the problem is. It's like, what if it's not a problem?
What if it's not a problem? That's
That's a turnaround, right?
Right. That sure is.
Yeah.
You want me to come up with examples? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, there is a period, seems to be that there's a period of time when I'm kind of getting depressed that I don't realize that I'm getting depressed. In retrospect, I realize it, but not at the time. So those are times that my mind is not making me. It doesn't. I don't think it's making me depressed because I'm not in. I'm not thinking that.
Good to see there's moments. And I love staying in this situation, like where it's very heavy.
Yes.
You're remembering it, you're recalling it, even if it was just before this call, whatever, just noticing that moment when you go to work and you start the tools and this is wrong, I'm against it, I need to fight this, I'm arguing with this experience. What if it's okay that it's here? How do you know it is okay that it's here? It's what is okay, even if this depression appears to be present.
That's an interesting question. How do I know it's okay? Wow. I have no idea. How do I know it's okay? Well, I guess I would be doing, I'd be, doing things. I'd be cooking for myself. I'd have energy. I would.
Well, let's say so it's like watching, okay, that's how I would know if I wasn't depressed. I remember when I used to cook or something like that. And here
Mhm.
it is. That's why it's a little tricky with mind stuff, but there you are, right in that moment, full on depression, the weight of it. Is it okay that it's here? Is there any possible way I can find I don't need to be against this experience? Like I notice, for example, I'm breathing. Something is still here,
Mm.
even with depression being present.
Yeah.
Life, consciousness is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like when my daughter and granddaughter call to say hi, and I'm looking at my granddaughter and smiling at her and feeling like an uplifted moment.
Ah, yeah, which is great to notice that something can interrupt this experience that I'm calling depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, like I love this person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good to notice that it's interruptible.
Yes, right. This is
And
true. It
yeah.
definitely is. Yes.
And even noticing if I really am, it's welcoming this thing called depression, if it's got a purpose. I
Mm,
notice in reality, depression exists. And if I'm not arguing with reality, why would it be here? What is it showing me?
yeah, that's a question. That's a really good question. Um,
You look at
what is it showing me? Well, I think it's showing me to to slow down, to be more conscious and more mindful of how I'm living. Um, it makes me humble, makes me, really uh, compassionate to people who are suffering not only with depression but with a lot of things in their life. I I feel like, gosh, if I can't control this, what are they up against? So I
it's sounds like it's showing you what's not controllable.
yes, right. What's not controllable, and what's um, kind of what's I don't know. I mean, in a way, it's like what's possible. How possible for me to just be in the moment? Because in the very instant that if I'm like present for, it's not here. It's just
Oh,
it's just the next moment when I look back on the moment and I say, oh boy, or I look in the future. I mean, I think that's one of the things that
mm,
it's teaching me is to not look in the future, not project, not worry about that, just to be in the moment. Then I'm okay when I'm in that moment.
mm.
Hey, vey, that's
That's a pretty powerful
yeah,
teacher. That's a
yeah,
really, you know, that's a good one.
yeah, yeah. Wow, it really, really is.
Yeah.
I keep having this thought, well, I don't want such a powerful teacher. I mean, I'd rather just be dumb and happy. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right. You watch the mind come in and say all its great reasons for why this is not good.
right,
It's
right,
a terrible situation. It's not welcome.
yeah,
Don't want it.
yeah,
Period. It just and it'll be there. And even if that's there, busy, lots of commentary, whole room full of chattering, you know, yes, I agree.
hmm,
Um, it's it can be powerful to notice just a simple turnaround in any moment, like you just did. It's not the story I think it is. It's
yeah,
depression is not. There's nobody's fault. There's no wrong here. I'm not against it. How could I be in favor of this thing? And if it's here, what else is here that is actually okay? Moment.
Mm.
If I heard you say just the present moment,
Yeah, yeah.
something being here without thoughts about the future being taken seriously, it's okay.
Yeah. I think maybe it's like giving myself compassion and space to be however I am, like just really accepting myself. I mean, there's so much in my life that I get angry about, that I don't feel well, that I have, my digestion is a mess, and I mean, I could give you a whole list, and you know, to be, instead, to just be accepting of whatever is going on with me, and not, I mean, maybe not even label it. Just labeling, I guess, is a big part of the problem. If I didn't have that label,
Yeah,
it would just be.
this is called depression.
Yeah.
Is it true? Yeah.
Right. I mean, like I lay in bed, wake up in the morning, I don't want to get out of bed. I feel horrible. I have these tingling sensations that start in my legs, that as soon as they start, I think, uh-oh, I'm depressed. Like, and then there I go down the tubes. So
Yeah. Yeah. So my mind does not make me depressed and miserable. Just noticing that could be just as true or truer.
mm-hmm.
Certainly not permanent, so just forever, just watching that.
Yeah, and it does go away, and then it comes back, but it does go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is also great to notice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Coming and going. Like the rain, if I'm against the rain every time it shows up,
Yeah.
tough. But just notice we don't usually have that. It's like, oh, good, it's raining, or oh, just today it's raining.
Oh no, I have that. I'm against the rain.
Yeah.
I feel like it adds to my depression, the dark, and I'm against all that. It's like I'm living in this, fear of, oh my God, we're going to change the clock and it's going to be so dark.
Yes. Yeah. So just noticing, but the mind speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and every time there's a thought, it actually fades out.
Mm-hmm.
Not there. It's not constantly there. There's other things to think. It's just doing its job, busy, and that there's other things here besides just depression and misery.
Mm-hmm.
And could I welcome darkness, the black red feeling, just noticing, welcoming whatever the feeling of
Yeah.
welcoming is.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcoming.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
mind does not make me depressed and miserable. Yeah. It's just a thought saying, I'm depressed and miserable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is it true? Is that actually true? Every moment of every second,
Right. Yeah. No, it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we can just make the statement of the opposite. What's the opposite of depressed for you?
Um, I guess,
Uplifted, or kind of like okay, open.
yeah, no, I think uplifted is a good one.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like, waking up in the morning and feeling glad that it's morning, feeling glad that I'm alive.
Mm.
That would be really nice to just feel that glad I'm alive.
Well, what can you find that how that's true right now in this moment? Are you glad? Could you be glad?
Yeah, and in this moment, I'm glad. I'm glad I'm talking to you. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad there are other people on the call that are supporting me. Um, yeah, I'm glad that I can see a glimpse of of another way of being.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me very moved. It makes me, I just feel like
Mm.
crying. I mean, it's like, who would I be without the thought? Wow.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Uplifted, not so, not miserable, but glad. Could
mm,
be just as true, just as available, and
mm.
nothing wrong. Like I'm not, it's
Yeah.
thought that comes in, this is something or someone's fault. Like I'm looking for the location of why the, why I'm against this. And that's just that when I start to look and I fight it and I use all my tools, sometimes that's nothing wrong with tools, but
Mhm.
maybe there's just a welcoming, letting it be here.
Yeah.
And it's not all of everything.
Yeah. And I mean, also, I do believe in God, a higher power, however you want to think about it, and that, that, that there's something God's asking of me that shows up as depression. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Would it
I
be?
don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
something.
I'm interested in a depression, in studying depression and being aware of it. It's like I can find that's true. I don't want to live my whole life saying keep depression out of here,
Hmm.
no matter what. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's been a teacher. It's been a teacher.
Yes. And I'm realizing now, I mean, I have not been curious about it. I've wanted it to go away, but
Yeah.
I haven't been curious about what is this, or how does it happen? I mean, just
Yeah. Right. Just imagining even an open feeling in the body or mind, whatever, that like,
yes.
oh, hi. Oh, you
Hmm. Yeah.
open the door. Come on in. you, you know, and just see, even if it just starts with the texture and temperature and like the
Mhm.
color that you found and say, what's the message? Sometimes,
Exactly. What's the message? What's the message? Yeah. And maybe I don't have to figure out what the message is, but
yeah,
just like accepting there's a message here.
yes,
There's
yeah, open,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
My
Yeah,
mom,
I get an experience of kind of open, like you said before, open-hearted, or just like kind of opening my arms, like, yes,
mm,
you can come in. You
yeah,
already are in, so fine. Have a cup of tea.
yes, yeah, yeah, very sweet,
Yeah,
you know,
that's thank you. That's really
you're welcome.
feels. I can just feel myself just sort of dropping down a little bit, not like having my guard up so much.
Yeah, I love Jeff Foster, that sweet teacher, and he says, deep rest, deep rest, deep rest. Resting from fighting depression, just resting,
Yes.
letting it all be there and noticing it's not the only thing that's here. This thing called
Hmm.
depression is like the mind will say, oh my God,
Hmm.
get this out of here. Every thought, I got to clean up everything.
Yeah.
It's like there's air in the room,
Hmm.
support of a group in the moment. There's a support of a chair that you're sitting on.
Yes.
There's a bed holding me up. There's something conscious here. Life on planet Earth won't always be here.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, right. There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a different feel to being grateful, because they say, oh, when you're depressed, find things to be grateful for, and I'm like, I'm not grateful for anything. But the way you're talking about it has a different texture. It's just
Yeah.
noticing kind of what's so about life, and that there's a lot more to it than just that depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love finding what's beyond the should and shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I should be grateful. Well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
letting it. I know I'm grateful for nothing right now. Like letting that be here. It's
Right.
yeah. 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 Thank you, Shira. Very sweet to be with you. Thank
Yeah, thank you. This is really so special. When I got on the call, I thought, there's no way she's going to be able to work with this thing, but I'm going to give it a go, and you
you.
always surprise me pleasantly with how you take things. So thank you
Oh,
so much.
you're very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very welcome. You have some
Thank you for the
support here
people
too.
who've been writing stuff in the chat. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Good. Very
Thank
sweet.
you.
You're welcome. All right. Comments? Anyone ready to do the work next? Love what's shared here.
Thank you for doing depression, because at first when you said what the topic was going to be, I said, oh man, I live there so often. And so when it came to the turnaround, I did it for myself. And what I came up with was my lack of activity makes me depressed. My feeling sorry for myself makes me depressed. My lack of presence makes me depressed, and my lack of focus makes me depressed. And when I can even do one of those, even do one thing, I know it starts to turn the ship, and it stops heading for the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just put them down in a list that these are some things that I know that when I can do them, or when I do them, that they turn me around.
And
But thank you for working on it and bringing it up, Shira.
Sweet. Thank you, Marty. Yeah, I love then noticing it's like as you begin to listen to depression and allow it to be present, making a list, writing it down. What is depressing to me? What is depressing? Let's say it. Let's write it. Then you could even move forward with that, with doing the work, just out of curiosity, not because you should do the work or you need to undo it and fix it. Maybe.
And I find it, I'm seldom in the present. It's always about, I should have done this, I should have done that. And in the future, oh God, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And when you somehow find your breath, that it's present and it's here and it's now. Okay, I'm good right here. As Katie would say, are you sitting on a chair? It might not be a $30,000 chair, but okay, this is my little fold up chair that I got, and it's working, holding me up. My feet are on the ground.
Yeah.
So far, so good today.
Anything more than that is icing.
Yeah, happy dog.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I see a hand up of, is it Maja? Ask to unmute, Maja. Oops.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, it's Maya.
Maya.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It would be with a Y in English.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Maya.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you have a share or are you ready to do the work?
I would like to do the work.
Okay, beautiful. So
Okay.
tell us your situation.
Okay. Well, it's actually not a particular situation, but it's like an overall thing in a relationship with my mom.
Okay.
However harsh it sounds, but this is like a really toxic relationship. She's basically like pathological narcissist. So we did have a situation about a week ago where just everything went through the roof with her behavior. And so what I'm like feeling towards her is that I resent her, or maybe even hate her, but mostly resent her for lying, manipulating, being mean, shaming me, degrading me, being abusive, verbally, mentally, emotionally. Yeah.
Right. So to keep it simple, just because it's so helpful that way, my mother lies to me, my mother's abusive to me,
Okay.
which feels like it's got more charge.
Abusive.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean which, the way you said it or the way I said it? Is that what you mean?
No, picking kind of one or the other. Lies and abuses are just a little bit different. And
Mm-hmm.
she abuses me. She's abusing me.
Yeah.
You can see that situation and then maybe many more. So everyone
Mm-hmm.
just find where you have the same experience. Somebody abused you. Just hold that. Emotionally, physically, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Maya. So
Mm-hmm.
your mother abuses you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so precious to find our own answers, to let it be what is. There's no wrong way to answer that question. It's not like it's, no, it isn't true. Just to see. And then I love we get a second look. Can I absolutely know that that's true? Can you absolutely know that that's true with no doubt? She abuses you.
Mm-hmm. It's a mixed feeling. It's not a clear yes or no. It's like a mixed feeling, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. Not unfamiliar. Just noticing, watching that. Maybe it doesn't come hands down like, oh, that's absolutely yes. There's a mixture in here, mixture.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you think it? She abuses me. You think about that incident and other ones where she's yelling, talking, lying. What happens when you think that thought? She abuses me. How do you react?
It hurts me.
Mhm.
It breaks my heart
Mhm.
because a part of me still can accept that she does what she does.
Mm. What's the energy like between you and her? How do you treat her when she's doing that?
I resent her. If I feel hurt, I resent her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I manage to keep it out so it doesn't like get to me, then I manage to keep my heart open and it's okay.
Mm. And how do you treat yourself? How do you see yourself? there's you and your mother, and she does what she does. And how do you see yourself, treat yourself in that situation when she's being abusive to you?
I don't let her, when she's manipulating and like turning things around. Every word I say, she turns it around or projects or whatever. I try to stay in my center and simply not allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's just such mind fog that it just she just everything gets twisted so much that it's just too much.
Yeah. It's good to watch the effort trying to work with this. What you try to do. Treat myself as somebody who needs to brace against it or defend or get ready. Try to be open, and I'm heartbroken. I feel heartbroken. I feel hurt. So there she is, being herself, doing that. So who would you be without the thought, she's abusing me? She's abusing me.
Love.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Looking at that upset person or confused person, having love. Just stay there a moment. Right in the middle of that situation. There she is, doing what she does without the thought, she's abusing me. Just feeling that love. So let's turn it around. So my mother abuses me. Say, I abuse me.
I abuse me.
You know, this is not like turnarounds aren't for attacking ourselves.
Yeah.
just noticing. Do I do the same thing in that moment? Am I this thing that I'm seeing as abuse, lying, yelling? Do I do that to myself in her presence?
Maybe in a way that I keep staying here because I've been living in my parents' house for the last few years after not being here for 16 years. And this is when it all started, basically. And it's just brought me, I don't know really how to describe it, but I feel like an empty shell after everything that's happened over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has been just so much degradation and shaming and blaming and everything that and I've tried to leave, but then I would come back because financially I can't seem to get my things together.
Mm. Well, if it wasn't required, like leaving or knowing what to do or what needs to happen next, just hold that these situations when the shaming and lying and the things that say abuse are happening, just hold still right there, staying still with the thought of just noticing without condemning yourself, just compassion. Do I abuse myself in her presence? It's okay. I don't need to know what to do. Staying is okay because that's what is so far. It's okay. Don't need to know anything to do, but just is there something I do that's abusive? And so you came up with staying, just I'm staying. I'm right there. See what else. Do I shame myself? Do I lie to myself?
Nothing specific comes up.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I love it's just noticing, just standing there, being there she is. Sometimes I like to you watch movies sometimes and then you can push pause and then just one character can walk around everyone and they're just all frozen. The other character can walk around and sort of look at your mom and look at you. But let's turn it around another way. So she abuses me. I abuse her.
No.
And sometimes this is just the little you get to test and see inside do I just in my head. So maybe it doesn't look like
Mm-hmm.
there was a camera on it. I don't do the same things over there. But is there any tiny way that I do that in my own mind?
I mean, the only thing that that comes up like that maybe after some sort of a conflict or something, and if my mind like starts attacking her after it, if I don't resolve
Mm,
immediately whatever was came from her side,
mm-hmm.
and it just hurts so much that and I don't want to feel that pain, then in my mind I would start attacking her back, um like saying what she's like.
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, great example. This thing that's like abuse, you know, abuse causes pain. So I'm feeling pain. I experience pain in her presence. She does what she does, and I experience pain. It could be a way that I'm causing pain to myself, abusing myself. We could use that word, like just holding up something. Um, and then I abuse her. Good find. I just seeing what's wrong over there, which is the nature of just the mind doing its job, trying. And how about the turnaround? She doesn't abuse me. Is there any way that's true, even right in the middle of that scene where those words and she's behaving that way? Is there any way right there she doesn't abuse me?
I don't know. Can't find anything or
It's
no.
mhm. Sometimes I like to go very simple with this. If what you're looking at really looks dire and difficult and repetitive, it's like well, it's just saying like what's not abuse. She's not destroying everything I own physically. She's not burning down the house. She hasn't struck me, if that's true.
Well, she almost tried,
Yeah, yeah,
but my dad stopped her.
yeah. Which is a good, I mean, just to notice. It's like there's a father here, there's somebody else present. So the thing that I see the incredible rage in front of me. And it's just finding, what do I notice she does not do? She doesn't abuse me. This is really, I mean, it's very intense work. If anybody has examples that you've experienced when you do this work, you can share.
It feels like that this word abuse is like maybe too general. There's more like more emotional, or how I would say, if I say that she's lying and manipulating and projecting
Mm-hmm.
and turning things around and
Sure. Yes.
against me, those are the really concrete things.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's helpful
Yeah.
to see and identify like what. So let's just try that on. I'm doing that to myself in that situation. Can I find that turnaround? I'm lying, turning things around. Can I find that? Could it be she's an example here in front of me and I do something that's the same? Just noticing the who I am without the thought. And you said love. You know, I feel this love. It's not there when I'm believing. So I don't see any of the love in it. And I do that with her. I tell myself the tragedy of this story about her. And I feel miserable. And I tell myself the story of there's no place for me. I have to leave, but I don't have enough money, so I have to stay. So I get very no other possibilities, you know, which could be a lie to myself or turning something, you know, not making it, it's not entirely true. And I don't know if this fits for you, but there she is being herself, doing what she's doing, very distraught person. We're not saying they're not being as they are. There's a storm over there. Turned around, they are not doing that to me. They're not lying to me, twisting everything around. Um, what's intact here? What can I notice? I mean, I just notice I'm free. I'm free to love. I'm also free to be heartbroken. I see the grief that I feel. I don't know what to do. But I'm just sitting here open, open to studying this, interested. I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Mm.
And maybe I've been telling myself that is not good, that I don't know what to do. And that could be a lie.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like what you said before, she's not doing this to me.
Mhm.
Like right now, I can feel it. And also theoretically, I know that she's just doing what she's doing.
Mhm.
But when it just hits like right here in my chest, it's such
Mhm.
enormous pain, and I've sat with this pain so many times already
Mhm.
without judgment, just allowing myself to feel it.
Mhm.
But it just keeps coming back, the same thing over and over again. So then I also get like I don't know, on one hand mad at myself because I can't like dissolve this or transmute it or whatever.
Mhm.
I get to the root of it and transmute it, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And dealing with the same shit over and over and over again.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's like it's gotten, because it just feels like I'm not getting anywhere.
Mm.
Like no matter what I've tried to do, what approach I've tried to take,
Mm.
it's just over and over the same thing, same old, same old.
Yeah. What if
And
you
it's
just,
just frustrating
yeah, yeah.
a bit.
What if you just let it be there? Like just let it be, wow, that's what this is. In some ways the heartbreak of, on your knees, nothing I can
Mm.
really do about this. I sure have tried. Seems to be a theme. It's like with Shira's work before, just letting it be here. Distraught mother, confused. Yeah.
And it's also what comes in the mix here is also not just like what she does and that this keeps happening over and over, although we have some good periods. Um, like maybe what the thing that maybe I can't really accept is the consequences that I have on a
Mm.
psychological, emotional level from everything that's happened over these last few years due to this psychological, emotional, verbal abuse.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's really showing on a physical level in my body already. So
Mm.
much humiliation and degradation that is just, whereas I used to believe in myself and what I want, and now it's like, who the fuck am I even?
Mm.
I've acquired so much like toxic shame
Mm.
about who I am because of what I've been listening to these past few years.
That definitely sounds like clear examples of the turnaround. I'm, abusing myself or just taking it on, holding it, being it, feeling that it's true. What's the opposite of abuse or lying for you?
Truth.
Truth, truth. Okay. So if you just open up to, could truth also be present in this experience with mother, difficult mother? I like You know, Byron Katie said it's like 1 or 3 years or whatever. She worked on her mother every day. Mothers are very powerful experiences for the mind to take a look at. So just
Yeah.
being with them, you know. But so mother, did I find truth here? Is it possible I'm interested in truth in the presence of this person called a mother? Is truth not entirely missing? I mean, I might not see it clearly, but it's just possible to be with truth. It's great. You know, I watch those things as saying, you know, it's, this is killing me. It's so terrible. I am, all the toxins are in my system. And we're not saying that isn't true. It's just watching the focus there. I have to, the panic, got to change this. This needs to be different. It's terrible. And just seeing what is here without a thought about it. What is true? What's the energy of truth like? Even, am I okay? Something's still here. Something's here showing up to do the work. You know, something has persisted. Something's not crushed and destroyed. It's here, interested in the work. Yeah, very interested in looking, which is just powerful to notice. And I just hear from you and your voice and looking at this mother. Also, love. Love is present. The mind will say love is not here. There is no love. There's just hatred, anger. And you were seeing, you know, without a thought about it, there's love. And okay to not know what's going to happen next.
Nothing really comes up with about what's true here in this relationship with my mom, but I'm feeling an open heart right now.
That might be the greatest truth. Right there. Yeah. Thank you, my dear. So, comments, anyone follow? Have a situation similar, and have you found turnaround examples? I'm doing something to myself, or the mind is doing something. I do that here.
Well, I'm learning a lot about complex PTSD lately. And I'm realizing that when I did the turnaround that they didn't abuse me. My father was abusing his father. He was taking it out on me, but the real goal of his anger and his rage that I was scapegoated to receive, oh, thank you, was his father.
Yeah.
So he didn't abuse me.
Yeah.
He abused his father. So
yeah,
that turned around.
I love that one. It's only they're abusing something that they're perceiving outside of themselves that could have been 40 years ago.
Oh, it's a lot longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah. Just to see, it's like they're just that person, there they are over there, feeling like a victim, feeling like the abused. So the abused.
And how the scene presented itself was that, oh, it's obvious, it's I was getting abused. And it was kind of confusing because it was both of them. And it also turned around to I abused her. I judged her. I called her a bitch and stupid. And I told her I hated her. And I cut off communication for a time, which really, according to the complex PTSD book I'm reading, says that that's what you need to do. You need to cut off from the toxic parents. They're both dead now, but yeah, I did turn it around against them too. So
Yeah.
and I abused myself. I criticized myself. I didn't befriend myself. I called myself names, bad. You know, whipped did the self-flagellation. So
Yeah.
it all fit, turning it around.
Yeah. So sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like finding I am the one who, had to suffer with this, and I'm not up for it. I'm not built for it. This is too much for me. There's a certain form of that self-criticism in that.
There's also the belief that they should have been wiser. They should be the parents. I was just the kid. And that's a tough one to look at, because part of it seems true that, but I work with at-risk kids, and so many of them are 15 when they have a child. So who's the parent and who's the child? Who knows?
Right. Yeah. No.
We're all in this together.
Yes. I love what people are sharing in chat. Ms. Stiles saying, I criticize myself so much for not being able to support myself. Yeah. And Laura, I love the reminder Katie took 3 years doing the work on mother. Yes. Yeah, those mothers. Yeah, Jen.
You asked if when we were doing the work, if we could find the turnarounds, and I did. My turnaround, I abused him, and I saw that I shame and blame him for everything. I take no responsibility.
Oh.
And I also saw that my thoughts are hateful. That feels abusive towards him. And then later when you asked about like, could the truth be present? And my opposite was he takes care of me instead of abuses me. And I found he's not pretending to be someone different anymore. He's not trying to pretend. He is being who he is.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you, Jen. So good.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. That was great.
Yeah, I love that. It's helpful to share, when it's moments where it's hard to find clear examples of turnarounds, just to watch that. Let it come to you when it does too. Maybe it doesn't happen on the spot. Had turnarounds that suddenly appeared, and the work was started months before. Oh my goodness, this is an example of a turnaround. Look at that. Yeah.
I'd like to just share something more.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your sharings, because it's also been insightful for me right now. And also, I think I've been really beating myself up because when I had like the opportunity to leave, and I did, but then, I would create something or whatever so that I would come back. So like really beating myself up for not being able to leave, and, for good, but to keep coming back because something would always happen that, that it would bring me back. So this has been, I think, pretty harsh on myself because of it.
Yeah. Taking the weight of that this had something to do with me, that I had to come back, and just the pain of it. And that may be worth questioning too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
to all of you.
Mm, so precious.
Mm.
Marty, somebody asked, what's the name of your complex PTSD book?
Oh, the one that I started with is Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker.
Thank you, my dear.
There is a wonderful podcast lately with Rick Hansen and his son Forrest called Being Well. And they featured Pete Walker a couple weeks ago. And it was like, I go walking with my dog with my latest podcast in. And it was like every step was yes, yes, yes. And it without really, I don't know, maybe there is some blame in there, but there is a reality that we were children, and a lot of this happened to us, no fault of our own at all. And the forgiveness piece can be doing the work, but there is also an acknowledgement of what happened to us as children, that the constant criticism and verbal abuse and put downs, and that intense critic that got installed in there for many of us was just overwhelming for a little child's mind. And I've always wanted to blame myself, which is part of the syndrome. And also there's a scapegoating that the other kids are solicited to join in. Let's pick on this one. And that was me. I was the picked on one. And so it's brought up a lot of awareness the past couple of weeks since I've been reading it. And he talks about flashbacks, where you're right back in the middle of it again. And then you can say to yourself, I'm in a flashback. I'm in a flashback. And we could even say, okay, now I can.
Flashbacks are amazing for the work, to really sit.
I was just going to say, now I can sit and do the work.
Yes. Beautiful.
I'm in a flashback.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Yeah. And the work isn't about, like, it's just investigating this deep, deep place in the human condition of noticing what we do with blame. Looking at everything as there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And just being able to sit with, the open hands. Those who do what they do wouldn't do it if they knew any better. And if you're not sure about that.
My mother always said that my grandfather, who I never met, was a monster. She said he was just a monster. And when I realized the way that my father treated me must have been a response to him. As upstanding of a citizen in our community and in our church as my father was, it was the very best he could do to do the opposite of what was done to him. But there was this one little place, that was me, that brought up, because I was the Democrat in the Republican family, I was the black sheep. I was, you name it. I fought him for everything.
Yeah.
I used to have a bumper sticker that said "Question Authority." Boy, he didn't like that one.
It's great to see your part. It's like I just in the play of a fight. Not belonging, not fitting in. Isa says, Maya, you are not alone. I did the same too, back and forth. And thank you for sharing, Marty.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all for being here. I just always think it's perfect, exactly who shows up, what's said. Together, as Ram Dass says, we're walking each other home. So grateful for you all being present.
Thank you for First Friday, Grace.
You are so welcome.
Thank you for retirement, County.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Yes.
You know how Katie talks about that some things come up to question, like you can earmark on the to question next. And I was noticing as I listened that I had the thought, if I question that I'm being abused or that this person is a narcissist or a bad person or something, then I might not be safe. Like if I don't have that judgment. I won't be able to take care of myself.
Yes, beautiful catch. I love it. I need to have this judgmental, violent, or whatever safety precaution.
Yeah.
I can't have I won't move, I won't get away, I won't know, I'll get hurt. And that is an amazing thing to question. Are you sure that's true? That's the only way? Don't even have to drop it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
Yeah,
that
thank
Pete
you.
Walker says is that the brain has 4 ways of defending itself. It has fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which is like being super friendly and super sweet to get someone's approval. And
Right.
it's also a part of how the brain responds to protect us, is
Yeah.
his take on it.
Beautiful.
Right.
Like letting the mind do what it does. Okay. And the amazing question, and who would I be without a thought? Which is the great question, isn't it?
Just here breathing.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Nothing else going on.
As Kate says, nothing serious is going on.
That's why I have a dog, to remind me.
Yes, yes. Thank you all for your beautiful work and for your presence and your comments. See you next time.
Thank you.
Lots of
Thank you.
love.
Thank you so much.